Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to sharpen your mower blades, and one of them is super fast, so make sure to stick through to the end of the video to see which one is the best. Alright, now before you go to sharpen your blades, you want to make sure you clean them up. We'll just clean any gunk that's on here off, but any grass that's remaining on them, you want to make sure you clean all that junk off. So we're going to put this in our vise, and we're going to try one method first. So the first method that we're going to try is one of these blade sharpening stones. Now these come as either just a stone or they come as a kit with this little balancing tool here. I like to just take a nail and put it in the wall and then put the blade on it, and all we're going to do is check for balance on the blade, see if we need to take any more material off either side if it's unbalanced. But let's get this unboxed and we'll try this stone out. Now on the sharpening stone you have this plastic guide on the back. You want that to be on the back side of the blade. This angled portion right here, that is the side that's going to be in contact with the stone, just like this. So let's get this tightened in the vise really good. We don't want this moving around. Now the one thing that I don't like about the stone is if you have a blade that has this shape here, it's really hard to sharpen this little hump on the blade. But let's try it. We're going to go on fast speed on the drill. Make sure you wear safety glasses, obviously. We're just going to take our time. We want to match the angle of the stone to the blade here. And we're just going to go back and forth. Now, if you look at the blade, you see these dark spots right here? That is actually a low spot compared to where we sharpened already. So we just want to take our time and go back and forth on here and try to make this all match up. And this is what I mean about this being hard for this particular type of blade. It's really hard to get around this hump on this style blade. So there's a bunch of different style blades, high lift, mulching blades, stuff like that. And if you just have a straight blade, this works really well on that. You can see how quick we brought this down. Now you don't want your edge to be knife sharp, right? If you look at a brand new blade, it is not razor sharp. There's actually a flat spot on there. It doesn't come to a perfect point like a knife edge. I'm actually going to end up finishing this with a file just because I cannot get this over this hump to match up perfectly. This is one of the downfalls of this with blades that are shaped in this manner. Alright, simple enough to dress that other edge up with a file. I can also use the angle grinder and the flapper disc, but that is one of the downsides to using this type of stone unless you have a straight cut blade. So we'll flip this over to the other side. We'll get the other side sharpened. Alright, so that's really all there is to it. Like I said, you don't want this to be a knife edge because if it's very thin, it's actually going to roll over and you're going to damage the blade. But as you can see, it makes really quick work of just giving your blades a quick sharpen. So now let's check method 2. So now method 2, we're just going to use one of these files. And this is a little bit better for getting these contoured blades. You'll see I actually have a little nick in the blade here, so we'll fix that. And you can see as I file it, see these dark spots? Those are the low spots. So we want this to be all one consistent shade. And although this works, and if you have a file, you don't want to go buy one of those attachments for your drill, or if you don't have an angle grinder and don't have a flapper disc, this definitely will suffice, but it does take longer. Now, if you have a rounded file, this works really good for these shaped blades, and you can get into that corner really well. Now you also want to make sure if you have any like rollover on the back side here, any burrs, you just want to hit it quickly with the file. And typically if you're not sharpening it to a knife edge, you don't get that rollover because the edge isn't very thin. But as you can see, it takes a long time with a file. If this is the only tool you have, it's fine. It's just gonna take you a little bit longer. All right, and as you can see, you can get a pretty decent edge with a file. It just takes a little bit longer. Now let's try the third method. Now the third method, and the one that I think is the fastest, most efficient, gives you the best results is using a flapper disc on an angle grinder. Now, you want to typically stay away from like a hard grinding disc like this, because this will take off a lot of material very fast. The sanding disc will still take off, you know, quite a bit of material, and it does work fast, but it's not gonna gouge out your blade if you leave it on there too long. Now, just some safety advice when using an angle grinder. Obviously, you want to make sure you have hearing protection and some safety glasses. Now, with the angle grinder, we just want to make sure that we match that angle of the blade as we're sanding it down. As you can see, it made super quick work of sharpening this blade. Let's get the other side. Also, one other safety tip, if you are using this, just make sure you have nothing combustible around, because this thing will throw sparks and you don't want to start a fire. And when you're sharpening this, you don't want to stay in one spot for too long, because this does remove a lot of material very quick. Not as much as like one of these type grinding wheels, but you want to maintain that angle and just hit it really quick. Now, here's the one I sharpened with the angle grinder. Here's the one I did with the sharpening stone. You can see I definitely got a better finish on this one, but they're sharpened about the same and they're gonna work about the same. It's just whatever method you think works best for you. And you know, if you have an angle grinder, I definitely recommend going the flapper disc route, because it's super quick. You can use the stone, they're fairly cheap to buy, or you can use a file if that's all you have. One last thing we need to talk about is blade balance. In all the years I've been sharpening blades, I haven't really had one that's out of balance. You know, it doesn't mean it can't happen, but if you bought the sharpening stone, they give you this little balancing tool here, and all you do is you center the blade on here, and we try to see if one side's heavier than the other. We'll let this thing settle down. You want to make sure that it's actually sitting in this little hub really well, otherwise it won't work well. But I would say that's fairly balanced. I'm going to show you another way to check it too. One other method to check the balance of your blade would just be to take a nail, hammer it into something. This is my workbench. And on these ones that have the star pattern inside, there will be on either the top or the bottom, there'll be one that's actually centered. This one has the little nub sticking up, so we'll stick it on here. And we're just going to put this on here. And we're going to see if that blade balances. If that blade was like this, then that means that this side is heavier. So I would probably want to take this back, put this in the vise, take a little more material off this side, and just adjust it back and forth until this thing is actually balanced left to right. So we'll check all the blades. All right, that one looks good. The first one looked good. And we'll check this last one here. Now, any gunk that's on the blade will definitely affect your balance. So you want to make sure that you have the blade fairly clean. You can wire brush it or use like a putty knife or something like that. All three blades are perfectly balanced. In my opinion, we're going to stick these back on. All right, guys, so which one do you think is the best? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, let me know which one that you use, or if you have any other methods that you recommend that I try. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.